And we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the fourth part of the show, we are going to now get into the final divisional game that I didn't get to yet, and that is the Eagles-Rams game. Now, these teams met earlier this season, and that was the game that Saquon Barkley had over 200 yards rushing in the game, and he had 2 touchdowns. And, yeah, not great for the Rams. The Eagles, they ran all over them. They ran the ball for over 300 yards, 314 yards. Barkley had 255 yards rushing. He had 2 touchdowns. Kenneth Gainwell had a touchdown. A.J.Brown had a touchdown. Yeah, not a good performance for the Rams defense. Stafford was good, 24-36, 243 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Kyron Williams had 72 yards on the ground and a touchdown. Puka Nacua had a good game, 9 receptions for 117 yards. Cooper Kupp had 8 for 60 and a touchdown, and that was towards the end of the game, the touchdown. But yeah, 37-20. And the Eagles improved to 9-2 at that point. Rams dropped to 5-6. Now, that was played in LA. This game's going to be played in Philly, and there's also snow in the forecast. So, there's going to be that, that's going to impact the game. I think that benefits Philly more, in my opinion. Now, the Rams have a good running back themselves in Kyron Williams, but when it comes to the Eagles, they're one of the best running teams in the NFL, with Saquon Barkley, of course. And I would just favor them over the Rams when it comes to that. But if snow is not a huge factor, even with that, the Rams got to have some kind of passing game here. Now, we saw them play well on Monday against the Vikings, but, that was in an indoor stadium. So weather was not a factor at all. But in the elements, yeah, it could be a problem. Running games are going to play a huge factor, and I just would favor Philly there. Also, both defenses are playing very well, though. I will say that. The Eagles' defense, they have played well for, most of the season. The Rams' defense, got off to a rough start, but, lately has been better. So their first 13 games, this is the Rams' defense. This is the ESPN's Instagram. They posted. So their first 13 games, the Rams' defense, gave up an average of 25.5 points. Yards per game, they gave up an average of 366.1. Yards per play, 5.8. Rushing yards allowed per game, 141. And then total QBR, 64. Now, their last 5 games, numbers have dropped significantly. They've given up an average of 12.6 points, 302.6 yards allowed, 4.8 yards per play, so 1 less yard, 96.6 rushing yards per game, and then QBR for opposing quarterbacks, 40. That's all top 8 in the NFL. And that defensive line was all over Sam Darnold. Now, going up against the Eagles, however, the Eagles have one of the best offensive lines in football. And they got 2 All-Pros from their offensive line, on their offensive line. It's going to be a different kind of game, for that D-line. Are they going to be able to get to Jalen Hurts? And, I think that's going to be a problem. And if the Eagles can't, and if the Rams can't do that, and if they can't, stop the run, or at least, contain Barkley, yeah, it's going to be a long day. And then on top of that, for the Rams, on the other side, are they going to be able to, get the passing game going against this defense? Because the Eagles have a very good pass defense. Now, the Rams have the wide receivers to, match up against them. Like I said, Puka Nacua had a good game. Cooper Kupp. That's who they really have to get going in this game, I think, is Cooper Kupp. Because Cooper Kupp has been relatively quiet for a while now. Really has not had an impactful game. And I think they need to get him going. And Cooper Kupp is, he's a stud in the playoffs. Going back to when they won the Super Bowl. That was a Triple Crown year. The last time the Rams made it to the divisional round, Cooper Kupp had a performance for the ages. And that was a divisional weekend that will forever, live in our minds, because every game came down to, the last play. To to pull up Cooper Kupp's stats from that game, he, like I said, he had a touchdown in that game, and he also had the big catch that set up, the game-winning field goal. But Matthew Stafford in that game, 366 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Cooper Kupp, 9 receptions, 183 yards, and 1 touchdown. That's the last time we saw Cooper Kupp in this spot. Now, again, different team, different circumstances, different weather. And they're playing in Tampa. Now they're going to be playing in Philly, and it's going to be snowing. So, yeah. But also the Rams that year, they matched up well with the Bucs. Now, the Bucs were kind of shorthanded in that game because they didn't have Chris Godwin. They didn't have Antonio Brown because, of what happened earlier in the season when, he just walked off the field and threw his uniform in the stands or threw his, But, the Rams matched up well with the Bucs. I just feel like here the Eagles match up well with the Rams. I just feel like, and the other thing too is that Eagles pass rush, get into Matthew Stafford. I don't think this game will be a blowout like it was when we last saw these two teams in LA. But I just think the Eagles are the better team here. And there's a lot of people that like the Rams. And look, I'd be happy if the Rams won. But I just think, the Eagles being at home, they're the better team. And I just think they match up well here with the Rams. So I like the Eagles to win. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. Maybe it comes down to a game-winning field goal. But I could see them winning, 24-20. Because, again, weather's going to be a factor here. So, both teams might have to lean on their running games. But you know what? If you go back to the Rams and when they, went on a run towards the end of the season here, they were winning in shootouts. And then let's not forget, like, they beat the Bills. They put up 40 points in that game. And then we saw, when they played against the 49ers, they won a tight, low-scoring game in bad weather conditions. So, and Sean McVay even said it. This team could beat you many different ways. And you know what? You say the same thing about the Eagles, too. But the Rams are a dangerous team. They are. And, their defense is playing well at the right time. It's just, like I said, can they get pressure with this offensive line that the Eagles have? I don't know. My answer would probably lean more towards no. And then, the secondary for the Eagles is really good, going up against Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. So we could see Stafford get sacked a handful of times. Are they going to be able to run the football? It's going to be tough. It's tough. I got to lean towards the Eagles here. But you know what? If the Rams can go in there and get the win, wouldn't surprise me. I think they have the better coach, but I think the Eagles have more talent. And they're playing really good football right now. And they're at home. And even if this game was being played in LA, I'd probably still take the Eagles. But I don't think we're going to see Saquon Barkley have 255 yards rushing. It's just I don't think that's going to happen. But I think Barkley will make his fair share of plays. But it's just the Eagles have too many weapons. You got A.J.Brown, you got Devontae Smith. I mean, I think A.J. Brown will have a bigger game than he did, against the Packers. I think he'll have more than just one catch. Watch, he's going to have 2 catches for 23 yards now that I said that. Dallas Goedert had the touchdown as well. There's a lot of weapons that the Rams got to focus on. It's going to be different. Sam Darnold's not Jalen Hurts, because Jalen Hurts could take off and run with it too. And, the Vikings were dealing with their offensive line problems in the game. The Eagles, they don't have an offensive line problem. So let's actually kind of go back. So the Rams played against, so who did they play against? They played against Sam Darnold last week. They played against Geno Smith the week before that, Kyler Murray the week before that. They played against Aaron Rodgers, Brock Purdy, Josh Allen. I mean, the defense gave up 6 points to the Niners. 9 to the Jets, 9 to the Cardinals. I mean, all those teams were not, great this year. They had their backups playing against the Seahawks. Well, the Cardinals had a disappointing finish. The Jets and the 49ers were bad, especially the Jets. But, yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. But the Eagles are a run-first team, so you know that they're going to try to, pound the rock with Barkley. And, Jalen Hurts obviously will be sprinkled in there. But let's see. I mean, maybe if the Rams are able to contain the run and, force the Eagles to pass, I mean, maybe they got a shot. Because Jalen Hurts throwing the football, yeah, has been inconsistent, I would say. But they have the playmakers that, if they got to throw the ball, he's going to get it to him. And we saw this Eagles passing game get it going at times this year. So it could happen in this game. But, again, this is another game where weather can play a factor. And we'll see how much of a factor it is when we get to it. This will be the first game on Sunday. This game will be on NBC. Bills Ravens, that'll be on CBS. Chiefs Texans, that'll be on ESPN, and then Lions Commanders, that's going to be on Fox. So, and then the following week, the AFC Championship game's on CBS. That'll be the later game, and then the NFC Championship game will be the earlier game. That'll be on Fox, and then the Super Bowl's on Fox. And then that'll be it. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think, though, about this game. Who do you think wins? I got the Eagles winning. I hope it's a close game. Do the Rams have a chance? I think they do, but I just think the Eagles are the better team here. I like them winning a close ball game in the elements. So we'll see what happens. We're going to possibly get 2 snow games on Sunday. So we are going to take our final break of the show now. And then when we come back, we will talk about the national championship game because there will be no show on Monday. So I wanted to talk about that, give my thoughts on it, and give you my pick. So for one final time today, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.